back, boys. Do you own an Astro van? When you turn the key, does it crank but not actually start? Maybe stumbles a little bit? I know what your problem is, and I'm gonna show you how to fix it. My name's Rob. This is my 99 Chevy Astro van. This is lifted 3 inches, all-wheel drive, has a bunch of stuff done to it. If you wanna learn about it, I got a whole playlist on it up here. So what's wrong with your van? All right, so basically the problem is you have what's called pancake distributor disease. Because it's winter and it's snowing, there's currently a snowstorm happening, it is pretty cold out. The nice thing about doing this repair is that instead of a truck, you are inside your van. And it'd be really nice if it was warm in here, but my engine won't start, so I don't have heat. Hold up, I do. I just want to point out the one other video, and then we're going to get into the repair. I have installed a Chinese diesel heater in the back of my van here. Unlike all the other videos on the internet, this is a full stealth install. You cannot see it. Everything is contained within the wall of my conversion van. We're going to go ahead and start it quick to get this nice and toasty in here. So, if you want to learn how to install a Chinese diesel heater in your Astro or any other type of conversion van, click up here. All right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is pull out the doghouse. If you haven't done it before, I'll show you how to do it. There's 2 fasteners right here and here. From the factory, they're Torx T30s, but they might be regular bolts by now. I don't know. Down here, you're gonna have 2 13mm nuts. Once you've removed the 2 T30s and the 13mm, this should just come out. On the back of the console, you're just going to need to unplug a couple things. There's like a ashtray light, a 12-volt cigarette lighter, and a light for the storage cubby. Now to take off the doghouse cover itself, there's going to be 2 fasteners down here, which I believe are still 13mm. Yep. Now the tricky one, it's a flathead. So you can use a really long screwdriver. What I like to use is a couple extensions. And you go way back there, and it's against the firewall, so I'm gonna use a flashlight. Also, if you don't have one of these things are awesome. They're like 15 bucks on Amazon. I'll put a link down below, but these things are a game changer. Before you can pull the doghouse cover off, you do need to take off the rear vent, which just pops out. And then you need to unplug this, which is a ground. Now, it should be loose. You can have 2 of these metal things holding it down. Now, if you have a conversion van, it's going to be a little tricky because the seats are bigger than the stock seats. So, I don't know, do your best. Try not to pull on anything down here. All right, now we can see the distributor. It's right here on the back center of the engine. This cap and rotor is maybe 6,000 miles old, and I guarantee when I pull it off, I'm gonna see a ton of corrosion because it's just a normal one with aluminum contacts. Even the AC Delco ones have aluminum contacts. You wanna get a marine or a high performance distributor, which will have brass contacts. Again, link below. All right, so here's my distributor. Before you start taking it apart, I highly suggest you take some photos, dudes, and just make sure you capture the wiring going into the distributor so you don't mix anything up when you put it back together. So we're just gonna start unplugging stuff so we can start pulling this out of here. My spark plug wires still have all the organizers, so you can't really mess it up, hopefully. Now you're gonna wanna take the cap off. This is a T20 Torx. All right, now I'm going to show you why this van didn't start. Here's the distributor cap. There's so much oxidation on them that they've turned green and black. There's something growing on it. And you can see that every single one, the spark is not in the center of the electrode, it's off to the side. And that's because the spark is happening too late because of the warm distributor gear. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull the distributor. But before we do that, we're going to look at where this rotor is pointed. Now my rotor is pointed just to the left of the center line of this intake manifold. So when I reinstall this distributor, that's exactly where it needs to be pointed or your van's not going to start. Another thing is as I pull this up, this is going to rotate a little bit. So just make sure you watch out for that. You have to reinstall it the same way that it's pointed when you take it out. All right, now this should just pull out, and you're gonna see it's gonna turn counterclockwise. See that as I pull up? This is how loose the cap was. So this is how much play there is in that distributor gear at the bottom, which is causing all this. So it looks like when I start to put it in, it's gonna need to point over there. And when I put it all the way in, it's gonna need to point right toward the middle of the intake manifold. Here's the distributor. You can actually see the wear on the gears right there. So hopefully this new one tightens it up and we don't have to deal with this again, because this is so annoying. This is the distributor that I'll be using. You can shop around. I'm pretty sure they're all the same at this point. Just make sure you get one that's got the billet body, supposedly a little better. And then I'm actually not even going to be using the cap and rotor on this again, because I bought the brass ones, which are better. The other change to these distributors is they no longer have screens. See this little hole right there? That goes right up inside the distributor to hopefully vent that condensation that gets in here. All right, now before we install this, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna use engine assembly lube on this brand new gear because there is gonna be some wear. The cam gear probably has some wear too, but because these haven't meshed before, I just feel like putting a little bit of this on there is a good idea. The other thing that I'm gonna do that I haven't done before is I'm gonna use dielectric grease on the distributor itself. Now, I don't mean inside the distributor. This is basically an insulating grease, and it's probably not a good idea to put on the contacts inside your distributor. However, what I read about is that dielectric grease is sometimes called tune-up grease. And what you can do is you can squirt it around the perimeter of where your distributor cap meets your distributor. And what that's gonna do is hopefully keep out moisture. Now, everything in the engine bay is gonna get wet, right? But as that moisture travels down the cap on the outside, it could get in right here where the cap meets the distributor. Maybe that's how it's getting in. Maybe that's why this keeps corroding. I know this is a completely new distributor, but I'm not going to take any chances, and we're just going to put a little bead of dielectric grease right where the cap meets the distributor itself in hopes of preventing that moisture from coming in there. All right, there we have a little bead of dielectric grease all along the perimeter of that distributor seal. Hopefully that will keep out more moisture. I'm not gonna go crazy with this. I think it's probably one of those things where less is more, but this will hopefully just help those gears have a happy life together. All right, now we're gonna put it in AO, and we're gonna make sure that distributor cap lines up right where it did before. In my case, it was centered on the intake manifold. So the other thing you might run into when you're installing the distributor is that it doesn't seat all the way. What you're gonna need to do is grab a really long flathead, and the oil pump drive is down there, and it's probably not gonna be in the same position. So what I did is I set my distributor kind of where I wanted it based on the bolt hole. And then I set my rotor kind of where I wanted it. And again, that's not where I want it to end up. That's where I want it to rotate from. And then I looked under here, and that flat thing is going to be your oil pump drive. So I just took a screwdriver and rotated it. And then I think it should line up. We'll see if the distributor drops in now. Yep, there we go. So now it's fully seated, and my rotor is pointed right at the center of the intake manifold where I want it to be pointed before. All right, boys, moment of truth. We'll see if it starts. I have a feeling it will because that cap was real corroded. Hold up. Yeah. All right. Back in business. Hopefully don't have to do this again for a long time. All right, there we go. If that helped you out, please leave a like and a comment. Again, this is a brand new channel, so if you've seen my other van videos, you might not be subscribed to this one. My channel has split. The old channel is going to be high performance marine content. The new one's going to be vans, snowmobiles, and everything else. All right? Cheers.